This is the elbow escape when my opponent is kneeling on the ground, 2 knees on the ground. If he's upright and his whole spine, his head is above his hips, and his hips are above his knees are now too heavy to elbow escape. Is it impossible? No, but it's way, 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 way harder to elbow escape when a person is upright. That's just not the right moment for that. I do want his hands on the floor, so that's why, bridging helps me with both of my escapes, trapinol and the elbow escape. Number 1 is I have to lay one of my legs down between his feet. The leg that I laid on the ground should be on its pinky toe side. And that might be difficult flexibility-wise until you lift your right hip a little bit. When I lay my leg down, only one leg, I'm blocking with my forearm and I'm locking my elbow to the floor. So my forearm is open kind of 90 degrees here, crossing bones with his femur. So I'm not inside of his leg entirely. These bones are crossed here. And I'm looking for the space I can get under his leg. If you post on your toes for a second, nobody's going to mount you like this. But this is the hold that actually technically always exists. Even when he makes his foot flush to the floor, that space does still exist. I can make it exist. So I'm using my forearm at 90 degrees, blocking his knee, and bringing them together, pushing with my forearm and bringing my knee through until I can capture his leg. If I elbow escape and I do a good job this far, there's no reason he can't step backwards and take side control on that side. Yep, if nothing catches his leg. And there's no reason he can't just go back to mount. So when I push this through, if I don't hold it and then I turn on my side to go do stuff over here, yeah, he's just gonna step back over to mount. So I need to keep my progress, and that's what that first little step is. So I'm gonna cross bones, I'm gonna extend, then I'm gonna dig, push these together, and immediately trap his leg. So there's a safety warning I just want to make here, which is if his knee is off the ground, and I put this here and I put a bunch of weight down and his foot is at the wrong angle, basically if he's on his instep instead of being on the sole of his foot, there's some possibility that I could tweak his knee a little bit. So just make sure after you dig through here, you can just leave your shoelaces on the floor, and I'll just trap it, and nobody, I don't have to use a bunch of body weight to pin it or anything like that. We're gonna seed that for now. He's gonna seed that for now. The rest of the move is gonna be right away blocking his bicep. I shoot my hip out until my knee fits. Then I'm gonna square back up to him, and I bring my hips to this foot to help escape it if necessary. Or once you get to here, once I've escaped this knee, you can push away from the person and retract it. Best timed when he's got some weight on his hands, so this is perfect. Now I'm gonna block, cross bones, block here, and I traction my shoulder first to make sure I have all the southward distance I can. I come under this shin, and you can do that no matter how flush to the floor his foot is. I really always can get under here. If I use them together right away, I'm gonna be trapping this and blocking this bicep, turning on my other side, hip out so that my knee fits. Once my knee fits, I can post my foot on the ground, turn the other way to get that foot out, or I can push away to retract it. I see people's elbow escapes fall apart never get started because be as high north as you can. Because this looks not very different. He's not all the way in my armpit, so I'm not totally dead. But my elbow's a little outside of his leg. You notice the difference between this and the other starting position? So now what happens when I try to elbow escape? I slide up his foot. He's got a great little set of monkey toes here, and I slide right up this. It becomes very hard to get under his toes. In fact, I can't. I never will be able to until his foot is far enough south that I can reach his shin with my knee tip, okay? So this looks like a not terrible mount, but it's terrible for elbow escape until I get his foot where I can get to the shin. And the difference was I got inside, and I'm just an emphasis of detail, I'm just using the forearm to keep his foot as far south as possible. Because this is a great mount for him actually with those toes tucked, because every time I elbow escape, I go up a little wedge ramp right here. But if I can push his foot a little further south or me north, then I can now with my knee tip find his shin, find that space, and then I should be able to finish putting this together. Okay, so just emphasizing, you want that foot in reach, like as far south as you can, so that your knee goes under, not up his foot, but under his shin. So sometimes I'll block the leg, and when I move my knee, he flops his foot. His foot just moves. But if he's like a little loose about it and he flops out, this can be difficult. So if that happens and you start to elbow escape and they're moving with you, it's now possible to use your other foot to help yourself out. So I'm going to reach over. First, we're going to talk about a heel pull. I'm going to use my heel to pull this into position. I'll now plant this foot so that I can get the rest of the way in here. Okay, so that's one leg helping the other. It's the heel pull. So one more time. I'm doing everything right. I'm on my side. I'm ready to go. I start doing this, but he relaxes at the hip, which is smart. It'll keep him here a little longer. But I can use my other foot now by reaching over to pull back, and we get the best hook actually when we point our toes. So you see the hook at my heel is the best when I point my toes. So when you bring this over, point your toes as soon as you're hooked on, and you get a nice little hook there. I can pull this back. I'll post now this foot on the floor, and then I can bring this out, trap this leg, and continue. The other one I can do, if he gets like a floppy leg here, is the toe hook. So there's like a heel pull if I go over the thing, but if I can get my toes underneath it and use this lifting action in tandem with my elbow. So I'm using everything here to lift it up. I should be able to then bring my leg around and capture it. Start here, turn on my side, I start working, this thing opens up. This is the toe hook. I'm hooking underneath here. I can lift this up, but it might fall off if I don't also control the top of the leg, so that's why I also use my elbow, and then I can capture this here. Maybe you guys who've been around can see that I'm actually also could set up lockdown. I can go immediately into lockdown. If I'm on the bottom and I've otherwise set up my elbow escape correctly, and I start coming underneath, and he recognizes that I'm doing the elbow escape, one of the things that the top person can do is to really offset and put his weight on this knee. When he does that, he's done the same thing that he had when he was upright, which is he's weighted his knee so much that it's become nearly impossible to get my leg underneath it. And both of us are fixated on right here. And what I want you guys to do is to keep the open mind so that you'll see the other exit. So if this knee is very heavy, the other knee is very light. And if the knee behind me is light, then I should be able just to back up and put him, now we're in some kind of guard. We're in butterfly guard here. I'm setting up my elbow escape, I turn on my side, I start digging, and he realizes what's happening, so he super weights his knee. That does stymie me here. I'm unable to finish this knee escape. But what I can do is back up because the leg behind me is light just so that he can weight this knee. So I'm gonna shrimp, hip escape just like we do in class. And now I'm in butterfly guard. It's not guard with my legs around him, my feet are in here, but I have my knees between us, my hips between us, so this is another guard. I'm trying to elbow escape on this side. He makes his knee heavy on this side, and it is light on this side, but his knee is just located at or above my belt. So that means that when I could have backed away, like his leg is in the way, okay? So we have a different movement for that. I'm gonna rotate us again. The movement for this is not just to do a shrimp where I would back my hips up, because I'm gonna do a super shrimp, okay? And a super shrimp, I'm gonna treat his leg like it's a bar on the playground and I'm a kid doing somersaults around the bar, okay? But I'm gonna actually duck his arm and come here and escape that way. if a shrimp looks like this backwards, then the super shrimp that I'm talking about right now looks like that. Looks like a somersault more. So my elbow escape, so far so good, right? But he's making this knee heavy, and his knee isn't just beneath my butt, like light beneath my butt. He's like kind of climbing up my back a little bit. It's above my belt. What I'm going to do in this situation is I'm going to duck his arm, and if it helps you duck his arm to put your hand on your head to clear the space, then I'm going to do this big somersault. Sometimes you'll be on the bottom mount and you'll find the trap and roll is not possible and you want to go to elbow escape, but they do a good job hiding their feet by your butt, and now it's hard to get my leg down in between. Very hard to find that space. Or even, there is no space because he crosses his ankles, and sometimes people get that low mount, so you can go ahead and drive your hips in. Yeah. So let's talk about this problem of finding space between his feet. Yeah. Using my cross foot to free the other one. When he crosses his feet like this, I'm going to first of all put his feet in reach just by being heavy on the leg here, and that's at the top leg. Yeah. And that pushes them both down. And then I'm going to look for the heel, and I'm going to try and pry it open. And I'm going to open it up like this. Open up his legs so that from cross they open up and they're parallel. Okay, so one more time. So I want to elbow escape on this side, on my right side, on this side. So first I'm going to bring his legs down, and that makes his heel or his leg available to this one, and I'm going to push it out. But that's still it's not the same as laying my leg down in between. But I'm not done. I'm going to use this foot to keep this here, and I'm going to kick my leg off using my other leg. Okay? So I'm not just going to move it and then put this inside because that's the leg I want to escape. I have to beat him in a race that he doesn't know has begun, and I'm going to do that by kicking my own leg off. I got this from here in Gracie. It's a really good detail on the elbow escape when you're trying to clear this space. So he's crossed up here. First, I lower the top leg to move both feet. So this one's on top, so I'm here, so that I can find something. I can find his Achilles or his heel, and I'm prying it open. And I'm going to keep this here. I like to do it with the ball of my foot, wherever I was pushing before. I like to hold this with the ball of my foot because it'll disengage really nicely when I kick it off. And then this leg kicks it off, and I beat him to the ground that way. Again, instead of moving this and dropping this, I move it using this. And I knock it off so that it's in place now to finish my elbow escape. Same problem. This time we're going to look at a little bit different solution. I'm always going to pretty much approach this the same way. It's the only way to put his heel in reach. I'm going to be heavy on the top leg. Push this out, and I'm going to open it up. Sometimes it's going to be easier to get the same side foot in, and I'm just going to heel toe it to open up his legs. And that's great because it's a prying action, and I'm ratcheting his leg open. But it's really hard to go from here to here before he brings his foot back in. So you ready? Go. Yeah. It's going to be hard to do. But sometimes this just is the foot that you can disrupt his crossing legs with. So what I'm going to do is, I have a ratcheting foot, that's the same side one. It's the one actually that I want to escape. And then a keeper. I'm going to keep this here and then just thread the needle. And now I can come on. Okay, so this time it's heel toe on the same side foot. The one that I'm going to escape does the ratcheting. The other one is a placeholder, and then I'll thread the needle. Straighten this leg so that it fits underneath here. Pedro Sauer shows an elbow escape that's a very simple setup, and it works against all size guys, and it uses the power of your hips to help your elbow escape. And it's this here. It starts with a grip that I make with my hand on his hip bone. So I make a connection here. I'm not just touching his hip bone. I create a little bit of pressure here. And now I'm going to bridge to the side, to the other side. So I'm going to bridge this way and straighten my arm. And my arm is a pretty powerful post when totally straight, so that allows me to back up. And then now I'm in butterfly guard, so I have escape now. So it's actually a very simple version of an elbow escape, and it starts with a hand frame. So I make a connection on his hip bone. He'll feel it and notice it, but it's not like I can push him off. And it's not that I'm pushing him off, it's all my hips and the direction that I bridge. So when I bridge to the side, and you notice I'm like looking over my shoulder, I come all the way up onto my shoulder, tip here, and I have a stiff arm here. The stiff arm keeps him where he is long enough for me to back out and create butterfly guard, maybe closed guard as well. I made a bold statement earlier that I want to back up here. I said grapevines are garbage. Yeah. And grapevines, there's a lot of connection here. I like connection. And there's even the possibility for her to like take all the way up her knees and really drive these out. And yeah, okay, that's starting to get like uncomfortable. Part of why I don't like grapevines is they're a little dangerous for both of us. Like if she kicks out a grapevine fast, that's not good for me. This starts to be weird on my knees. And if I get sick of a grapevine and I kick out, it could be bad for her knees. Okay, so they're a little dangerous. Also, you should know the escape. Now, a good grapevine really does happen. If it's going to be good, her probably has no weight on her knees. She's in this like low mount, pelvis like driving kind of mount, because now it's like she's the most dexterous with her legs and feet. And this is an easy connection actually to break. I just straighten my leg up and out. Okay, so it's always up and out. That's a very easy thing to remember. The best time to do it is when someone's grapevine's first up here. So if we were in mount and then she goes to do that, the perfect time to do it's right now. We barely made contact, right? Just, and then there's no way to grab it. And I am looking for inside position after either this or this. But I'm just gonna show this to you in tandem with elbow escape, because I mentioned this before, but you will find that when someone's in this low pelvis driving mount, when I do an elbow escape, if I go up and out, a lot of times you'll totally swish the elbow escape. Totally swish it because their knees are light. They're very light because their pelvis is heavy. We're gonna start from these. She's gonna go to put them in. As soon as I feel them coming in, I'm gonna go up and out, over and down onto my leg side so that I can quickly elbow escape. And same thing here. We start here and she goes to do it right away. Okay, so it's just up and out. So if I'm here, someone goes to lace this, it's up and it's out. It's up and out. Over here. And then immediately over and down on the side of my leg. So do be turning your leg on its side, getting ready to land here. I'll usually make a thud sound. So when I do it, I usually do make a thud sound. Boom, and then I swish. Something about the boom gives her a little bop and makes the whole thing easy. So one more time. So, yeah. So connect this with two, yeah. So I go up and out, and I'll go under here.